Hello and welcome to the FinextraTV virtual studio. I'm Debbie Bell Hosking and I'm joined by Eric Bierry, CEO, Sopra Banking Software. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Debbie.
It's good to be talking online and we're chatting ahead of the Sopra Banking Summit. And that event explores an outlook on the new normal, digital native financial services. So I think my first question to you, Eric, is what's the motivation behind this event and why do you think it's needed?
Yeah, Debbie. In fact, there is a very simple answer. The market is demanding for this kind of events. But maybe let's have a step back in 2021. In 2021, we wanted to launch this event. It was the first time. It was fully digital. It was more or less end of the COVID situation. And the learning we wanted to have at that point in time is to understand better where the banks are standing. My positioning, my willingness was to understand better how the banks can involve in this market, in this environment. And at the end of the COVID crisis, I should say, the positioning of the bank was drastically changing. They were again in the heart of I should say all citizens, all governments, everyone was relying on banks to support the economy and to support the recovery. So we wanted to be part of this and to have a better understanding. And I think in all minds today, we do consider that banks are back in the game. In 2022, this year, we have to organize this event. We don't have any other choice. It was a success first, so our client, the market was asking to do again the same. But 2022 is a very special year. When you're looking at all the different events, every morning we are talking about inflation, we are talking about the war, we are saying that the cash is not very easy to access now, especially for companies where the revenue are not secured. So what's happening to the fintech today? It's becoming a bit more tough. And I think the last 2 years, the banks have been challenged and they have been trained to become a lot more agile and at the end to deliver the same kind of service on which they were challenged during years with the fintech. So from our perspective, the reason of this summit is to have together with all the different parties a better understanding of the situation and to try to figure out together what's the best path for the banks. One thing is even becoming more important, and I think within that discussion at the summit, this will be a very important topic, the responsibility of the bank. When there is something very important, everyone is relying on the bank. So for sure, when you have, maybe you have children or teenagers and when they are just sharing some money, it's very easy to share 20 pounds, 20 euro. But the day you are asking them to travel for their study at the other part of the world, and you have to organize the rest of what's going to be very important for him or her, at that point in time, you will not be relying on multiple fintechs. You will be relying on your bank because it's very important. Nothing is more important than supporting that journey. And we think that responsibility for the bank is becoming more and more very important. Maybe the last topic I wanted to share with you, I think it was in June or July, the CEO of Bank of America did say, I'm not a bank, I'm a digital company. And I think personally, so I cannot give all the detail about that event, I think the message is very important. We think, and the summit is one of the answer, bank is a bank. And the positioning of the bank is critical for the future of everyone. So we are hoping that that summit will bring all the forces together and to continue to prepare the future for the banks because we think definitely that banks will continue to play the major role for all of us.
Thank you, Eric. And you talk about elements being critical to everyone. And bearing in mind all the elements you've discussed with us now, how has that shaped your agenda for the Sopra Banking Summit?
In the agenda, we're going to cover several traditional topics like core banking or auto finance. Even open banking is becoming something traditional, I should say. But we will be also trying to figure out what means ESG for the bank, not just as a green footprint, but what's their role within the ESG for the future. There are very interesting discussion we're gonna have during the summit. Let me give you a second example. We are all talking about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity for a bank today is seen as a constraint, in addition to many other constraints like regulations. But if we have a look on what could be different, how can they generate revenue taking into account the cybersecurity within their system, and how does it contribute also to their responsibility in front of the market, in front of the people, their clients. So we think all of this kind of discussion will occur in addition to the traditional topic within that summit. And this is there to, I should say, continue to increase the collective understanding on what's going on and how we can continue to support the banks for the future. And this is our role.
And you've highlighted some of those issues. If I was to say what stands out to you the most in the agenda, what is a not to miss element of the agenda?
Maybe there are two. One is related to the real agenda of that event. There will be 22 sessions. We have a lot of partners with us, such like big name, IBM, AWS, Sopra, obviously, our mother company and group. But there will be also a dedicated plenary session. It's a 90-minute session with 6, 7 experts coming from across the globe, bringing their perspective, their view on what's happening into the market. And we will be having 200 high-level executive people coming from banks physically in Paris. This will be the Wednesday, the week of the summit, the Wednesday afternoon. But also this will be fully accessible to anyone who would like to see it. We will be organizing a streaming at the same time because, again, one of the key objectives is to bring all the data, to bring all the experience together, because this has to bring added value for the future. And, even for us, my job is to prepare the future of my clients. So my client asking me, what's going to happen in 5 years? And one of the key way to gather this kind of information is having the opportunity to talk with many people coming from US, from Africa, where digital is running very fast, from Asia also, and of course, because we are European, from Europe. So that's the way we look at it. The second, and again, it's based about our DNA. We are part of the Sopra group. Sopra group was born in 1968, so it's quite a long story. And based upon that long story, it was mainly based upon engineers. These engineers are there to solve problems for their clients. Back to our summit, we are with the same DNA, looking at the environment, looking at what's happening, and bringing all of these different people to try to solve all the different problems and to see how to bring that sustainability for the future, to reinforce the responsibility of the bank. And part of our job after the summit, but on a business as usual for us, is to build and to maintain the systems which will give the opportunity for banks to become more responsible, but also to be more efficient and to increase the agility. Because, as said at the beginning, when fintech is launching a buy now, buy later, the banks are able to provide the same. And in some cases, this fintech have been bought by the big banks. But our job is to ensure that their system and the way they do operate, having these additional features, will be responsible, strong enough, efficient enough to allow the bank to continue to deliver its business. That's key for us.
Thank you, Eric. And you spoke earlier about part of your role is looking ahead towards the future. And we have digital banking, banks, fintechs. So what is your vision for the sector looking ahead?
The vision for the sector is, I think, not very clear. We are building the future at the moment. But what is clear, part of the journey for banks is to design the best way to drive their clients, bringing a larger scale of services, not only banking services, but insurance. It has started years ago, but also looking at travels, looking at bringing some more commodities. You are lending a car, then you may have to have a parking, you may have to have the insurance, then you will have to drive the maintenance of the car for the next 3 years. So all these bunch of services will become a must-have for the bank who want to drive the relationship of their client. Otherwise, they will not be seen as a key player, And the way to deliver the digital journey for the client is not compared to another bank, but it's compared to other app. And when you compare your experience with your bank, with your experience on Netflix, uh, for sure you will be expecting a lot more services, a lot more agility, seamless approach. That's very critical. The second challenge for the future is where the bank is not expecting to drive completely the client. So one big bank could decide that for a segment of clients, they want to drive everything because it's making a lot of benefit and added value for them. And for some other parts, they will be more hidden in what we call the embedded finance. Embedded finance is growing very fast at the moment. But the banks, they have to take a choice. On this segment, they are hidden. On the other one, they are not hidden. And what they will have to deliver is totally different. When they are hidden, this has to be very seamless, very efficient, very cost effective, and prepared to be at scale to deliver the value. So that combination is at the end the choice of each bank. And this will be, I think, totally different from one bank to the other, from a market to another one. But this choice is becoming critical for them. If they don't make it, this will be very difficult to design the future.
And you're talking about choices that need to be made. As we wrap up our conversation, Eric, what would be your comments or message to people who are considering joining the Sopra Banking Summit but aren't on board yet? What would you say to them?
For sure, they are all welcome as a starting point. The event is a completely open event to anyone. So this is easy to come, easy to register. More than 5,000 people did register already, so which is giving a proof that it's maybe one place to be. But also, this is giving the opportunity to have different insight coming from other region, coming from their competition or co-opetition, I should say. So there is nothing better, I think, within that ability to share, to bring them additional insight to take such kind of decision. At the end, each bank has its DNA and their objective, but the combination with this insight, and I think nowhere else you will have the opportunity to have so many insights at the same time on different topics. So that's what I would like to tell them. And in addition, if they want to know more, I'm more than happy to find time to get them gather more information, to get in touch with me. This is the perfect timing at the moment where we have to spend time together.
Excellent. So for those attending, they can continue this conversation in person at the event. So Eric, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Debbie.